5 things. Number 1, verse 28, second half of the verse. His father came out to him. The son is angry, really angry. Now, when I'm around people who get angry, I get angry at their anger. That's not good. That's not helpful. His father didn't do that. It's not what he did. He comes out. This is the same thing he did with the younger brother, right? He got on the road, he ran, hugged him, and here the kid's on the porch. He will not come in. He got his arm folded, anger, and the father comes out. You can tell by what he's going to say, he's not coming out with fists. He's not. He's coming out beseeching. That's the second thing. Verse 28, near the end. His father came out and began entreating him. Said to him, child. That's number 3. Number 4. He says, you're always with me. You see that? Verse 31. He said to him, child, you are always with me. And the problem is, this kid didn't care about that. The younger son discovered, God, if I could just be home with my father. If I could just be home with my father. I mean, even as a servant. If I could be home with my father, not eating pig food with all these people that don't give a rip about me. If I could be home with the one who cares more about me than anybody in the world, I'll give anything to be with my father. And then the father says to the older son, here, you're always with me. With me. You're always with me. The deepest void in the older brother's heart is that he lived in the house with the father and he found it quite unsatisfying. Right? He lived with all the privileges of the elder brother, ate with the father every night, was the heir of everything. He wasn't happy with that situation. And the unhappiness came out when there was a contrast between some privileges for an undeserving brother and then his blaming and his anger and his resentment and his dissatisfaction with his father came out. He did not love his father. He didn't. He didn't love being with him. And so the father says, you're always with me. These are the words of the elder brother here. These are the words of a person who loves partying with his friends at his father's expense rather than being with the father. You never let me party with my friends. You never provided for what I really want. You know, one of the most striking verses in Luke is in chapter 16, verse 14, where it says the Pharisees were lovers of money. You don't think about the Pharisees loving money. You think about Pharisees loving the law and being legalists. Jesus said in chapter 16, verse 14, the Pharisees were lovers of money. In other words, deep down, behind all this legal religiosity was worldliness. Man, they loved to party. And they couldn't party. They had to go to church. Are you happy in church? Or is this a cloak for business purposes? You might be here in the house, in the Father's house, so to speak, and hate it. This son did not love being with his father. That's what's the deepest void. He doesn't love his father. He doesn't enjoy sitting at table with his father. He's thinking about his friends and the money he might get and whatever else is out there. But it sure doesn't meet his needs to be with the father. And the last thing the father says is, all that is mine is yours. Verse 31, all that is mine is yours. So Jesus looking over the heads of the tax collectors and sinners and staring at me and the other Pharisees right in the face. And he says to me, everything I have is yours. That's what God says. Everything I have is yours. There's an inheritance for a son, not a slave. Watch out, son. Now, one of the most interesting things here is the Father doesn't draw that out. He doesn't make the horrible implication explicit. Things hang at the end of this parable. They just hang. You get a trembling like, what did he say? What did he do? Did it work? Did the son come in? Did he hear the implication? Sons get inheritances. Sons live with the Father. Slaves don't. Please don't stay on the porch of merit.